how's it going? Welcome to the show. Hope you guys have saved some room in that gas tank because it's time to go one more round with Rob. Here on today's show, I'm going to be giving you guys my take on some of the bouts from the top-ranked boxing card that occurred this past Saturday, April 24th. It was headlined by Emanual Navarrete versus Christopher Diaz, for the WBO Featherweight Championship of the world. Emanual Navarrete was the defending champion. Christopher Diaz was a former title challenger. He's coming in for his second attempt at winning a title in that bout. Really excited to give you guys my take on that. Before we get to that fight, though, we got to get to the earlier fight and then the co-main event as well, obviously, as the normal structure. So let's get into that first bout for you guys. First bout I had for you guys was the first fight of the night. It was Jacob Gomez versus Mobley Villegas. This was in the junior lightweight division, so it's a junior lightweight bout. Two young guys from what I could tell. So let's get into it. Round one, Gomez comes out. He takes the middle of the ring right away. Villegas is kind of staying on the perimeter, but both guys immediately start throwing their jab crosses. They're coming out and they're swinging. They're starting off the show. They're starting off the night. They're starting off the fight with a bang, and they're going for it. Through the first minute, Gomez is landing better. And just after the first minute, Gomez drops Villegas with a right hook to the chin that was followed by a quick right hook to the body. Villegas does answer the standing 8 count for this, but as soon as the referee says go, Gomez is right back on him. He's going right back to work. He's landing well on Villegas, and then with about 50 seconds left in the round, Gomez drops Villegas again with a right hook to the chin again. And this time Villegas does not answer the 10 count. It was a fast and furious round, and Gomez just had the better start, I guess. I mean, there was really the only thing I can say. I mean, he came out and he was not going to be denied that night. So it was a knockout win at 2 minutes, 38 seconds of round one for Jacob Gomez. Great job by Gomez. Fantastic job. He came out and he's, like I said, he started fast and furious. This was only scheduled for 4 rounds, so he knew he only had 4 rounds to work. Villegas did what he could to try to stay competitive, but after he got dropped that first time, he really needed to try to survive the end of the round, and Gomez just wasn't going to let that happen. So Gomez's pace I think it was just too much for Villegas to stay competitive. So it's a great 2.5 minute fight, guys. I mean, well, great one for Gomez. Not so great for Villegas, but for the fans especially, it was phenomenal. Like I said, they both came out fast and furious. Gomez just got the better of it that night. So, guys, we go from one first-round finish to the next fight, which is the co-main event. Like I said, guys, these top-ranked cards, they kind of shuffle fights around, so I'm really just going to end up taking the first fight and then the co-main and the main event just to make sure that everybody is there's a clear structure to the show week by week. So we go from a fast and furious round one finish to a fight where the fight between Edgar Berlanga and Demond Nicholson in a super middleweight bout. Now, I made this transition, guys, because that Berlanga was 16-0 coming into this fight with all 16 wins coming by knockout in round one. His longest fight has only been 2 minutes and 45 seconds in his career. So we go from a fast and furious round one finish to a guy that has won 16 straight in round one by knockout. Guys, the longest win streak like this in boxing is 21 fights. This guy is 5 fights short of this. And if he can get this win, he'll be 4 fights short of it. So let's get into it, guys. Round one, Nicholson comes out. He's jabbing early. He's not really trying to throw him hard, but he's slipping him out there, trying to get his range. Berlanga starts to kind of do the same. And that's really kind of the first minute or so, close to a minute. close to the 1 minute mark, close to the 1 minute into the round mark, so close to that 2 minutes left in the round mark. Berlanga really gets going with his punches. Really gets going. He really starts throwing his shots. They got a lot of pop on him, a lot of power to him. And then so that 1 minute in mark, he really starts to get going. With the 1 minute left mark, he really starts mixing his shots up more. So he's going to the body some, going to the head some. He's really mixing them up well. Nicholson is doing well, trying to stay away just enough for the first part, for the most part. But you know, close to the time when you're going to get ready to hear that bell, Berlanga starts landing some hard shots, and it was like, oh, is he really going to get him out of here in the first round again? He does not. So that ends the streak, guys, for Berlanga. And you could see when he went back to the corner, like he started like telling us, like the crowd was full of his fans. And you could see he started telling him, he's like, hey, calm down, like it's over, it is what it is. The streak is over, meaning, you know, it is what it is, but like, hey, calm down, guys, we got a night's work in for us. He does get the first round, in my opinion, 10-9. I don't think that was that was going to be contested at all. He got the round 10-9. Round 2, both guys come out, they exchange early. Each of them lands a few shots well, as you know, too. I mean, they come out and they start getting after it. Berlanga's using multiple jabs to set up his other punches through the first half of the round, and he lands a good 1-2 at one point as well. And you know, it was good. It was like pop boom, and it was like, wow. I was like, okay. Nicholson appears to be content with trying to stay on the outside and moving and landing, kind of sticking and moving kind of thing, landing and just kind of landing his few shots here and there as well. With about 45 seconds in the round, though, Berlanga clips Nicholson with a left hook that drops him. Nicholson answers a standing 8 count, but like we normally see, as soon as he's up and the ref says go from that standing 8 count, Berlanga is all over him, and he's all over him for the remainder of the round. Easy 10-8 round to score for Berlanga here. Berlanga is, you know, he's controlling this fight so far. You know, Berlanga is controlling the fight. He's landing the power shots. You know, I think he's definitely hurting Nicholson more than Nicholson is hurting him. So, round 3, the two come out and they start exchanging again. Berlanga clips Nicholson again, short left hook. Nicholson stays up this time though, but it was definitely, it definitely clipped him. Now, Berlanga also hits Nicholson with a right hook. This one ends up dropping Nicholson this time, who again answers a standing 8 count. He appears to be spending most of the second half of the round trying to just get to the end of the round, because Berlanga is still chasing him down. He's still landing hard shots. He is still putting pressure on him. And so Nicholson's really just trying to survive to get to round 4. The round ends. Nicholson will see round 4, but again, it is a clear 10-8 round for Berlanga. Round 4, the two come out and they start the round a little bit more composed. They're not throwing as much as they did in the previous 2 rounds. It was kind of a round 1 start feel to this one. So I think they started much like they did in round 1. Berlanga's moving forward and still landing hard shots to start the round. So he's moving forward on Nicholson more than Nicholson's moving forward on him. Nicholson, again, just trying to stick and move as much as he can. But Berlanga is just able to blitz him at times. And he's, you know, that's when he's able to land his shots. So Berlanga was really trying to find where and when he could land his hard shots. And when he thought he could, you know, when he thought he found the place and the time, he was just blitzing Nicholson with a bunch of power shots. And a good portion of them were landing. Nicholson does get a good body hook in to just before the end of the round, but Berlanga answers that with a hard left hook to the head. So it was kind of a this for that kind of thing there. 10-9 round for Berlanga. Again, guys, Berlanga was just in control of this fight, especially through the first 4 rounds. Up to this point, he's been in control of the fight. So it was kind of one of those. It was like, ooh, it was kind of a question of how long can Nicholson absorb this. So we come into round 5. Nicholson comes out. He's throwing a couple of jabs and then a straight to try to catch Berlanga off guard. I think he was just like, hey, I'm gonna just try to catch him off guard. I'm gonna try to get him off his game. Doesn't really work though, guys. Berlanga lands a good left hook that causes Nicholson to put a glove to the campus. Ref rules it a knockdown. The commentators were kind of speculating whether it should have or should not have been a knockdown. I mean, I guess if you want to look at it by the rule, guys, Berlanga hit him with a left hook. The glove goes down. That's supposed to be ruled a knockdown. Either way, Nicholson has to answer a standing 8 count. I mean, I really think that even if it didn't really hurt him, and it was kind of more of he lost his balance, it still gives you a chance to recover. Like, this guy's been all over you all fight. I would take it and not even argue. So Nicholson answers a standing 8 count. Berlanga lands another hard right hook that, honestly, if it weren't for the ropes, that one definitely would have put Nicholson down. Nicholson got hit with it, and he kind of he did. He put his arm on the top rope to kind of re-steady himself. So, like I said, guys, if it wasn't for the ropes, Nicholson goes down that way legitimately anyway. And then Nicholson for the round, he's really just been trying to stick and move, but he's just been getting caught in the corners. He's just he moved really well against the ropes, and then you get to a corner and he kind of freeze for a second, and that's just not a good idea against Berlanga, because he's just trying to take your head off, and he's trying to tie Berlanga up as much as possible, but again, Berlanga's landing his shots before Nicholson's really able to tie him up effectively. Berlanga ends the round. Hard straight right definitely stuns Nicholson, and it definitely makes his legs wobbly. So, I mean, Berlanga landed the right hand. It was like right hand landed, bell went off. It was like pop, ding. And you could see Nicholson kind of took a step back, and his legs were wobbly. So, because of the knockdown in the early portion of the round, you got to score it 10-8 for Berlanga. Whether the knockdown was legitimate or not, that's a different discussion. Either way, 10-8 for Berlanga. I think I might have even scored that round 10-8 for Berlanga if Berlanga didn't have that scored knockdown. Regardless, on to round 6. Berlanga comes out. He's walking down Nicholson this round, who is really trying to move along the edge of the ring. He's Nicholson's really trying to stay out of the way of Berlanga. Berlanga's still throwing hard in the early part of this round, while Nicholson's not really throwing a lot at all. A big question coming into this fight was if Berlanga got taken into these deeper rounds, since he'd only been in round 1 for his first 16 bouts, would he be able to keep that power? And through round 6, the answer was yes. Nicholson's trying to throw some body shots at about the halfway point of the round, but Berlanga clips him with a good hook again. Nicholson lands a straight right on Berlanga with about 30 seconds left. Berlanga opens up on Nicholson until the end of the round. After he got hit with that straight right, Nicholson, because of this, is trying to tie up as much as he can. It was another 10-9 round for Berlanga. I mean, Nicholson's trying, but Berlanga's power just is kind of an equalizer for really anything. So we go to round 7. Nicholson opens up with 2 to 3 good combos, but then Berlanga really just starts throwing his power shots again, and he starts landing his power shots again. As he has the whole fight thus far. Nicholson's trying to crowd Berlanga to land on the inside, but it doesn't seem to bother Berlanga that much. Also of note, Berlanga's not really throwing as much in this round. So while Nicholson's doing well when he's on the inside, he's not really throwing as much, and Nicholson's just kind of getting on the inside and throwing and landing really well. This was an 8-round fight, guys. This is round 7, so it's like, oh, is this the point where Berlanga is going to start getting tired? Or is Berlanga just taking this round off to come out with a huge blitz at in round 8 and try to get a finish there? The last 30 seconds of the round sees Berlanga land a few good hard shots. Not enough to take the round, in my opinion, though. I gave the round 10-9 to Nicholson. Like I said, I honestly thought Berlanga was taking this round off to save up some energy, I guess, so to speak, to really kind of come out into round 8 and really get going in round 8 to try to get a finish there. But he does lose the round 10-9. That was the first round that I gave to Nicholson. So we come into round 8, final round of the fight. The two come out. They start exchanging jabs and lead hooks to begin. And very early in the round, Nicholson's trying to tie up and lean on Berlanga. I think I just don't think he wanted to get hit anymore, to be completely honest with you guys. And about a minute in, Nicholson does land a good right hand, but after that, Berlanga begins to throw his own hard shots. And at about the halfway point of the round, that he just starts opening up. Like, that's really when he really starts to open it up. So he's got another minute and a half of this to go. They're two with about a minute left are starting to throw back and forth, and about 45 seconds left in the round, Berlanga lands a hard right hook, and that just starts Berlanga opening up on Nicholson even more. Berlanga lands another hard right hook with about 10 seconds left in the fight. That forces Nicholson to answer one last standing 8 count. As he tells the ref, yeah, I'm good. Bell rings. It's the end of the fight. So the last thing anybody has in their mind of the fight is Nicholson having to answer an 8 count from a hook from Berlanga that put him down. 10-8 round, easy scoring for Berlanga. We go to the judges' scorecards. Unanimous decision win for Edgar Berlanga. No surprise, guys. He scored 79-68 on one card and 79-69 on the other 2 cards. He did really well throughout this whole fight, guys. Really well. Despite not getting out of round 1 in any of his first 16 bouts, winning them all by knockout in the first round. I thought the only round he lost was round 7. And like I said, I think he kind of just took that round off to kind of rest to kind of do an active recovery, an active rest, because he really didn't seem to be bothered by the punches from Nicholson. Nicholson did well to make it through the whole fight, and he landed his own strong shots at times, but the question was answered that Berlanga's power is for real, and it can last. Well, we knew that his power was for real, but the question was answered, can it last through a whole fight? The answer is undoubtedly yes. So now, guys, we get to the main event of the evening. Emanual Navarrete defending the WBO Featherweight Championship of the World against Christopher Diaz. Like I said, Diaz was a title challenger prior to this. This is kind of his second go-round at the title. It was a really anticipated bout, guys. Really anticipated. So let's get right into it. Round 1, Diaz opens up with some feints. Both men are loose. They're moving light on their feet and kind of trying to get a feel for each one. Navarrete seems to be leading through the first half of the round, but Diaz is doing well with most of his counters. Diaz is kind of attacking the body of Navarrete, trying to really wear that gas tank, try to keep Navarrete from being able to take some deep long breaths to replenish himself. Navarrete, though, seems to be mixing up more of his shots, some going to the head, some going to the body. So I think he's mixing them up a little bit more than Diaz thus far in the fight, which, I mean, it doesn't say much. It's only round 1, guys, I know, but that was just kind of the feel. Was Navarrete was mixing it up more throughout the fight than Diaz, or throughout the round, excuse me, than Diaz was. Not a whole lot of action going on in the round, guys, or not a lot of substantial action, we'll say. Not a lot of hard shots being thrown. I did give the round 10-9 to Navarrete. I think he had a better pace, pushed the pace more, and I think he landed a little bit better than Diaz did as well, since I think he was going first more than Diaz was. Diaz seemed to be more of the counter puncher of the two. So we go into round 2, and Diaz opens up taking the middle of the ring. Both guys start throwing some hard punches. I think they were like, all right, round 2's here. Let's really get going. But Diaz is doing well this round. It's sticking and moving. Navarrete is able to land some good shots as well. But, in the last minute, Diaz lands, a good combo on the inside of Navarrete, on the inside to Navarrete's body. And then another combo that was kind of more at range. So he gets inside, he lands a good combo to Navarrete's body, like I said, kind of moves out, lands a good one that was more at range. Navarrete seems to be trying to throw a feint, like do a feint and then throw, or he kind of like ducks down and then throws. Was kind of what was going on through the first 2 rounds anyway. And Diaz is using those cues to know when to throw and land on Navarrete. And that was really effective for him in round 2. I gave round 2 to Diaz 10-9. Round 3, Diaz comes out, slipping a few jabs out there again. Then he throws an overhand right. Doesn't really, if it did, it doesn't really do a lot, guys. And, if it lands, it's not really, doesn't really hurt Navarrete, so to speak, but it lands. Navarrete throws a good combo, but Diaz covers up. Not a lot of it lands, but the pressure is being put on by Navarrete again, though. And Navarrete really starts picking up his pace now. He lands a good left hook to the head, and he really starts to put some pressure on after that left hook. He started picking up his pace. He landed that left hook. Now he's starting to put the pace and the pressure. Diaz looks stunned with about a minute left in the round. And Navarrete is doing better at evading Diaz's shots this round. So, I mean, the rounds thus far are really kind of, in my opinion, really kind of shifting back and forth. It was really shaping up to be a good fight, a good back and forth fight in my mind at this point. So the round ends. I gave the round 10-9 to Navarrete. Like I said, he was doing better at evading Diaz's shots. After that one left hook landed, he really kind of started putting it on him and putting the pressure on him and throwing a little bit more in that last minute. So it was really, I think, Navarrete coming to terms with, hey, I got to get going in this round. Round 4, Diaz seems to be moving more to start the round. But Navarrete begins to start pushing forward, though. So he really starts coming out, almost like how he ended the 3rd round. Is how he comes out in round 4, just pushing and moving forward, pushing the pace, that is, and moving forward on Diaz. Each guy has their moments through the first 2 minutes of the round, but Navarrete, with about 45 seconds left in the round, lands a good left uppercut. And that drops Diaz. He has to answer a standing 8 count, and is immediately, after the ref says go, immediately chased down by Navarrete. And for the remainder of the round, Navarrete is pursuing him. He's landing. He's really putting the pressure on Diaz, really trying to, put him on the ground, really trying to put him on the canvas again, really trying to get him out of there. 10-8 round for Navarrete. Obviously, he got the knockdown. He, and a ton of pressure and punishment coming in that last 30 seconds of the round after Diaz stood up from the standing 8 count there. So 10-8 round Navarrete. Round 5, Navarrete opens up, trying to find a home for those hard punches that he knows can be effective on Diaz now. And Diaz seems to be trying to use his footwork to get inside and land his punches. So it seemed like Navarrete wanted to stay more on the outside. Diaz was like, I got to get inside because this guy is, he's got the reach on me. So I got to get inside, otherwise the guy's going to pick me apart. Navarrete, his almost all of his shots were landing. at will, or he's landing his shots almost at will for on Diaz here, and you know, he's using his reach, he's using his length, like he's being a smart fighter at that point. Diaz though is able to get off some good punches on the inside in the last minute of the round, and just before the end of the round, he explodes for a good 3-punch combo just before the bell. Unfortunately, I don't think that last minute of Diaz kind of getting in on the inside a little bit more and landing, and then that last 3-punch combo just before the bell was enough to give Diaz the round. So I gave the round 10-9 to Navarrete again. So, you know, Diaz is really starting to have some rounds put against him. Plus, he had that 10-8 round that he got that was against him in round 4 there. So I think Diaz at this point really had to start. It wasn't like a do or die situation, but I really think he had to start putting it on the gas pedal a little bit more. So round 6, Diaz comes out and he opens up with some good punches, but Navarrete is still landing well as well at this point. And through the first minute, Navarrete is throwing his 1-2 punches, his jab straight punches, and landing really well with them. It was quick pop pop, quick pop pop, but he's landing really well with them. Diaz is doing everything he can at this point to get inside and land body shots through the first 2 minutes of the round. And I say he's doing everything he can because Navarrete, like I said, he's using those jab straight. So those are those long straight punches that, you know, are really going to keep Diaz at bay, you know, because Navarrete has the reach. So Diaz really just has to try to find a way around those shots, which Navarrete is not giving him an easy path to do, which no fighter is going to give another fighter an easy path to do it. But Navarrete just was almost relentless with the 1-2s that he was throwing. So in the last minute of the round, you know, Navarrete is still having success with those 1-2 punches. And then he starts landing to the body as well. He's really, like I said, especially in this last minute, he really starts landing to that body again. Diaz's body shots, though, he lands a couple of good ones in this last minute, and Navarrete definitely seems bothered by him. He's like, ooh, I don't want to get hit with too many more of those. I don't think that was enough to give Diaz the round, though. Gave the round again to Navarrete, 10-9. Like I said, Navarrete is starting to rack up points against Diaz now. Diaz really has to try to find something. He's really got to try to find a path to get going here. Round 7, Navarrete opens up with a long combo, mixing up head and body shots to Diaz. And Diaz attacks Diaz, although attacks the body of Navarrete almost immediately as well. So these two really came out in round 7, started exchanging early. You know, through the first minute, they both really started opening up and exchanging more. Diaz lands a punch to the back of Navarrete, though, as Navarrete is hunched over, and he gets a point taken away. Now, he was warned earlier in the fight. This occurred earlier in the fight where Diaz landed a couple of hooks to the kidney area, which is where he hit Navarrete again in this round. And the ref warned him at that point. He was like, hey, you need to watch those punches. He does it again in this round. Point gets taken away from him. Watching the replay, I don't think it was a hard shot, but I understand the ref's predicament and where he was. I understand the ref's predicament that, hey, I warned you earlier, I got to take the point now. Navarrete comes off the break from this, and he is just, again, he goes back to those 1-2 punches. He goes back to those jab straights, and he's landing really well. And then he starts mixing in the hooks and uppercuts. And Diaz has no choice but to answer with, almost tying up and getting on the inside and landing with punches of his own. And he really, like I said, getting on the inside is when Diaz really was landing his best punches thus far in the fight. I think in the back half of the round, Navarrete ended up having more success because he was able to kind of keep it a little bit more at range, and those 1-2 punches were really opening up the hook and uppercut opportunities for him. So I gave Navarrete the round, and because Diaz had the point deducted. That gives Navarrete a 10-8 round again. Guys, Navarrete's racking up points on Diaz here. Diaz has got to get going at this point. He really does. Round 8, Navarrete comes out. He's utilizing that same game plan with his straight punches as he has the last few rounds. He's coming out, jab straight, the pop, 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 pop. He's using them to set up his other punches like he did in round 7. He's using them to set up his hooks. He's using them to set up his uppercuts. And, he just... That's how he comes out, and the game plan was working, and he was sticking to it. Diaz does land more when he gets on the inside, but he's gotta, he's eating some punches. He's eating some punches to get inside. He's definitely eating some punches to get inside because Navarrete has that range, because of that, with about 1:15 left in the round, he gets caught with another left uppercut that drops him and forces him to answer another standing 8 count. Off that 8 count, Navarrete, as most guys do, he comes out pressing Diaz. He's pressing Diaz hard. He's throwing hard shots again, trying to end the fight. And Navarrete drops Diaz again, this time with a right hand, which, Diaz has to answer another standing 8 count. And this is very close to the end of the round. The referee starts him. Navarrete really goes after him again until the end of the round. Easy round to score for Navarrete. I scored him a 10-7 round in round 8 for Navarrete. That was, I scored him a 10. I scored him a 10-7 because of the 2 knockdowns. Round 9, Diaz comes out. He's definitely showing some damage on his face in this round. You can see it's red and swelling. There's a little bit of blood. Navarrete's not really throwing, but he's pressing Diaz this round. Diaz is moving around a lot more, trying to avoid Navarrete. Navarrete, he's throwing hard punches. He's throwing hard punches around. Just like I said, he's not throwing too many of them. I think he almost blew himself out in that round 8 when, he got the 2 knockdowns and coming off of the standing 8 counts for both times, just really ran at Diaz. So I think this round he was really just like, hey, I'm going to press him. I'm going to kind of let my arms recharge and then, get back after it again. So he's not really throwing too much. With about a minute left, Navarrete begins to open up more and with some power. He actually at one point lost his balance because he was throwing so many punches so hard at Diaz. Diaz tries to answer in the last 30 seconds, but Navarrete really just evades most of it. 10-9 round for Navarrete again. We've got 3 rounds left at this point. And I think Diaz needs a finish. I don't think Diaz can win on points at this point. Round 10, both guys come out. They're not really throwing a lot through the first 30 seconds. Then they start throwing a little bit more volume than they did in the first 30 seconds, but the volume is considerably less than in the earlier rounds, in my opinion. It seemed like both of these guys were kind of content with taking round 10 as a active recovery round. Diaz is landing better in this round than he has the last few rounds. Navarrete, though, in the last minute to minute and 20 seconds, starts opening up a little bit more. Like I said, not a lot happened in this round, though, guys. It was kind of both guys almost silently agreed to take this as an active recovery round. It's like, we'll do enough to kind of keep the fans entertained, but we're not going to go crazy. But I thought Diaz did land better in this round. I thought he had the better round, so I gave him the round 10-9. Still, I don't think enough for points for Diaz, but he got another round, so it's a moral victory, I guess. Round 11, Navarrete comes out, immediately starts throwing. So definite switch of pace from round 10 there. Comes out, immediately starts throwing. Diaz immediately answers back. Like I said, definite change of pace from round 10. Both guys are like, all right, let's get after it again. Diaz is using more movement again, but he's not throwing as much as he is moving. So he's really just kind of trying to evade and stay away from Navarrete. Navarrete's still using his timing, though, to land his harder punches. He's figuring out when he can catch Diaz and land his shots. Navarrete lands a good 3-punch combo to Diaz's head with about a minute left, and Diaz answers that with good body shots. So it's kind of the same game plan. If Navarrete's like, hey, I'm going to hit you in the head, Diaz is like, okay, I'm going to hit you in the body. The two end the round exchanging. I think Navarrete got the better of the exchange, though. I scored the round 10-9 for Navarrete. Diaz needs a finish in round 12. That's all I can say on the break here, guys. Diaz needs a finish in round 12. He definitely is not going to be able to win on points. He needs to get a finish. So, round 12, Diaz opens up the round, pressing Navarrete, trying to land to the body. I think he remembered that earlier in the fight, Navarrete seemed bothered by the body shots that Diaz was landing, so that's where he's going to go. The two are exchanging back and forth through the first minute. Navarrete landing some of the harder shots to Diaz's head, but Diaz is really digging to the body. So the two are just landing hard punches just in different portions or different spots on the other's body. And then Navarrete lands a slew of hard punches, hard shots that eventually drop Diaz. Diaz answers the standing 8 count. And this is close to the end of the round, guys. Diaz answers the standing 8 count. But before the two can engage again, Diaz's corner stops the fight. They motion to the ringside official that is with their corner and says, hey, we're done. The ringside official gets up on the apron, waves it off to the referee. They stop the fight. And that's it. It goes down as a TKO win at 2 minutes and 49 seconds of the 12th round. So of the final round, for your winner and still WBO Featherweight Champion of the World, Emanual Navarrete. Great title defense for Navarrete. Great title defense. Diaz definitely put it on him at times. And Diaz took a lot of what Navarrete dished out. Diaz's heart in this fight was amazing. It was amazing. And I think if he had been able to get on the inside a little bit more of Navarrete, I think he would have had a better chance of winning the fight. Diaz's corner, in my opinion, did the absolute right thing. Absolute right thing. Now I understand, like I said, the finish came at 2:49 of the round. They're only 3-minute rounds. It's 11 seconds left in the round. But Navarrete most likely would have just blitzed Diaz and opened up with everything he had left. And honestly, he was landing decently on Diaz in the fight when he did that. And Diaz presumably wouldn't have won on the cards. So I just think it would have been Diaz taking an unnecessary amount of punishment. Or it would have been him taking unnecessary punishment for another 10 seconds, when he didn't have to. And his corner recognized that, and they said, hey, let's get our guy out of there. I 100% agree, 100% respect, and I 100% support that decision. Absolutely great fight from both guys. Great title fight. Great way to end the night. Holy cow, that was amazing. That was an amazing fight. I wish these two could fight for this title all the time if every one of their fights was going to be like that. Legitimately, guys, I do. I was watching this fight and I was like, can this not end? Just not end. Let's make brain damage not a thing. Let's make it not a factor anymore, that it's never a risk for this, and just let them keep going until literally they're just old and gray and can't do it anymore. It was an amazing fight, guys. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you, even though you know the outcome, go back and watch it. I guarantee you'll be entertained. That's today's show, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed my take on it. If you agreed with my take, great. Drop a comment down below. We can have discussions on it and go back and forth. If you didn't agree with it, drop a comment down below. I'm more than happy with discussing it with you guys as well. hop over to Instagram and Facebook. I'm posting there almost daily. So remember to follow and like over there. Please remember to like, share, subscribe over here on YouTube. And guys, as always, if you guys have a card know of a card coming up that you guys are excited about, you don't hear me talking about on Facebook and Instagram, please drop me a message. I'll make sure I take a look at it. And whether I cover that card for that organization that time, or whether I do one in the future, you guys will most likely have put it in my mind. So please don't hesitate with any suggestions. Other than that, guys, please stay happy, healthy, and safe. And until next time, congratulations. You just went one more round with Rob. Have a good one. We'll see you next time, guys.